Okay, guys, let's go over some of the special case graphing that we did today when you only have an x equals or a y equals to graph these inequalities. So regardless of what you have, you are going to start out by making those two lines to get your pieces set up for the things that you need. Now remember, if it's an x-only equation like this one is right here, then my slope every time is going to be undefined, because I should expect it's going to be a vertical line, run straight up and down. There is no y-intercept if it's x only. It has an x-intercept, in this case of 5. Now, those two pieces are kind of different. Remember, we said that the part that comes after this is kind of similar. So as far as my line goes, if I have that inequality, it's going to be filled in or solid. If I talk about my shading, now I have that inequality, it's going to be shaded below. So now I need to go through and start to graph. So remember, you still start with the the intercept, except it's not y this time, it's x. So that means that you have to be focused on the x-axis instead of being focused on the y. So I go to the x-axis at +5, and I know it's going to be a line that goes straight up and down here and is going to be solid. Now I need to figure out my shading part. So if I shade below, because there is only x here, I'm going to look at the x-axis to see how this line splits it. So if I look at the x-axis this way, all my numbers are getting bigger. But in this one, they want to know where it's less than. So the only place it's going to be less than is to go back in this direction. So that means on this one, I'm going to shade this direction because I'm going to shade below. Now remember, don't touch the line. You can get close to it. But remember, you want to be able to see and I want to be able to see if you shaded it or dashed it or filled in or whatever, and you're not going to be able to do that with what you have there. Okay, so I'm shading in this spot. Now remember, on this problem, if I want to talk about solutions, solutions would be anywhere that there is this pink shading on mine. Okay, so now on this one, remember, solutions would also be anything that are actually on the line too, because it's filled in. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. This one is one that has only y. So if it has only y, then you have to have assumed that the x was 0 in front. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set mine up. So my slope is going to be 0 over 1. My b value is -2. If I'm talking about my line based on this inequality, it's going to be dashed. And if I talk about shading, and I have that inequality, it's going to be shaded above. So now we need to start to go through and graph. So again, start with your y-intercept. So -2 is where I start. My y-intercept, or my slope, is 0 over 1. That means I'm not going to go up at all, but I'm going to go over 1. And I'm going to keep following that pattern all the way across. And then I'm going to go back and get the additional points. Now, we said this line is going to be dashed, so it still needs to have the arrows at the end. Go through and get this set up. Now, if I'm going to shade, I got to shade above. So above is going to be in this direction. Okay, go over the stuff from your notebook, and this will be our warm-up for tomorrow.